Turkey on the ropes in game 1 of pool play, and they let it slip away.
Ty Webster trying to go underneath there. Davis got in the way, his want to do on the baseline. Scoreless in the opening 30 seconds. The lob for Davis. Has the catch, but cut off on the baseline. Curry the catch and shoot for 3, and he knocks it down. That's a big start for the U.S. from outside.
Sure is. Steph Curry only 6 for 14 coming in. I should say 4 for 17, but that's important to get him going. Coach K told the team today that we've got to play in the first quarter with an edge regardless of the opponent.
That's big too. Much like Steph Curry, Kirk Penny has struggled in the first 2 games. That's a deep 2 in the United States with a 1-point lead. You heard Fran mention New Zealand is 0-2 so far in the group. They lost an absolute heartbreaker against Turkey in their opener on Saturday, a game in which they had a double-digit lead in the 4th quarter.
For Team USA, it's about executing in the half court defensively and locking these guards down. This is not a potent offensive team.
Abercrombie missing on the shot there. Kenneth Faried the rebound. Here's Harden pushing. Davis an offensive board, and he'll get to the line.
Well, Davis and Faried continue to do what they're doing, and that is they understand that the missed shot is actually a pass to them because they have crushed opponents on the glass offensively.
Foul was on Rob Lowe. That will be his first. Anthony Davis, who's leading the United States to the first 2 games in pool play, 18 points a game and 5 rebounds so far. Missing on the first free throw had been 8 of 10. Here's the first couple of games. Look at Anthony Davis, what he's been able to do. As we mentioned, the big guys are shooting at a very high percentage, and Davis knows this could be the FIBA and Olympic, or at least international opportunity for him to step up with no Kevin Durant this year. And of course, Kevin Love also had pulled out before camp began.
And Kenneth Faried, Mark, has done exactly the same thing. This is going to be a great confidence builder for him.
Here's Kirk Penny on the fade, not there. And it's Kyrie Irving getting in on that rebound. A slow start after the early make from Steph Curry. Great drive to the basket. Webster there on the recovery.
Well, it's the second straight possession where it's just one-on-one play. And, you know, against New Zealand, they can do that. They're going to make this dunk right here. But you've got to move the ball. If you watched Spain yesterday, you saw how brilliantly they moved the ball and defended Brazil. And I would like, if I were Coach K, and I know he feels this way, move the basketball on offense. It's not just about driving in a one-on-one opportunity.
Faried trying to lead the break. Save on the near side. Lining up for a quick trigger 3. Irving missing. An offensive putback from Faried. Clearly no issues with the defensive side and the rebounding. It's the half-court offense when they're in those opportunities.
And you know what? And Faried, once again, treating the missed shot like a pass. But that's not going to happen as they get to the last couple games of this tournament. Those missed quick shots are going to be rebounded by Serge Ibaka, Marc Gasol, and Pau Gasol.
Pau Gasol having himself a nice tournament so far. Spain is 3-0. Ty Webster, the soon-to-be sophomore at Nebraska, hitting a basket there. Quickly down court for Faried.
You know, Faried has run the floor like a maniac. He is a force of nature right now for Team USA. His relentlessness is contagious.
Now this is feeding the numbers that we have seen all along. The ball that was kicked, they'll reset the shot clock.
Now this is an amazing look right here by Steph Curry, and Faried, he just goes end to end so quickly. Ty Webster is a nice young player. Struggled last year at Nebraska, but Tim Miles and his staff have high hopes for him. Nebraska's program has turned around. Nice drive there.
Mika Vokuna coming up with the shot. He's had some foul difficulties in the first 2 games. But when he's been able to play, he's been very aggressive to the rim for New Zealand.
Yeah, he's 32 years old, very solid veteran of New Zealand's national team.
Loading up Faried against Vokuna.
Jump hook. He tried to get it.
Got the ball back, splits the defender, scores, and it'll go to the line. Chance at a 3-point play.
You know, I like this. And everybody talked before this tournament about Team USA being perimeter oriented. I think the more they get scoring inside from Davis, Faried, and Cousins, the more it's going to force teams to collapse on them, and it's going to open up the perimeter. There is nothing wrong with going into the paint early in a game.
And it's a three-point play for Kenneth Faried as we get a look at Anthony Davis over in the bench area. DeMarcus Cousins getting an early look here at the 5:45 to go mark of the first quarter. You get the sense after the Turkey game that this is a team on a mission, and clearly Davis got whacked there in the right eye, being attended to by the training staff.
Well, I think, listen, the next 3 games, frankly, are guarantee games, you know, like in college. They should win these games all handily, but it's not about beating New Zealand now. It's about improving on what you do. As you see, it's a contact issue right there, but it's about playing sound defense, particularly in your pick and roll schemes where Turkey was just outstanding, and it's about moving the ball on offense. Every one of these perimeter guys can get a good look without having to pass it, but that's not realistic later on in the tournament.
This time they're loading up Cousins in the left post. Fadeaway won't fall. Again, the hustle from Faried, but out of bounds to New Zealand.
Cousins, that's that Lucona drive from a little earlier. Pressure steal.
Steal by Curry, but on the outlet pass goes right back to New Zealand. And you can see rubbing the fingers. I don't know if that's still an effect of this smaller ball. Check in as Australia has the early lead.
Yeah, that is a big game in Group D because the door is open for Slovenia to win Group D, and that would mean they would stay away from Team USA until the semifinals. So hanging a first loss on Lithuania would be huge in Group D.
Steph Curry picking up his first. Yes, Slovenia, Lithuania, both 2-0. Mexico got its first win earlier today, the first matchup from Group D. Groups A and B both getting their rest day after playing the first 3 days of the tournament. 4-point lead under 5 minutes to go here in the opening quarter. And beating the shot clock buzzer, Abercrombie misses, but an offensive board loading up Ty Webster, missing badly that time. And here's the run out for the U.S. waiting. Curry finds Harden. There's the whistle. James Harden will get to the line.
Good recognition. Harden contested and left. I think it was Curry got up the floor, and they were off to the races. The quick shot by the young guard Ty Webster led to transition right here. I was surprised that New Zealand didn't use the entire shot clock on that offensive rebound. They shot that ball very quickly. Again, they don't have the type of experience at the point guard in Webster or his brother Corey that we saw from Turkey in the second game of pool play.
Foul was on Kirk Penny, his first. James Harden going to the free throw line. Rudy Gay checking in for the first time in this third preliminary. 5 games in 6 days, and the U.S. struggling at the free throw line. Coverage of the FIBA Basketball World Cup continues tomorrow on ESPN2. Team USA will take on the Dominican Republic. USA, Dominican Republic tomorrow, 3:30 Eastern Time on ESPN2. Also available live on Watch ESPN as Harden splits the free throws. Of course, the Dominican Republic team, one of the teams they faced in their exhibition tour at New York City a couple of weeks back.
Yep, Francisco Garcia went for 29 yesterday. The Houston Rockets, good screen.
Unable to hit the basket is Penny. As we said, he has struggled so far in the tournament with 3 for 11 against Turkey, 5 for 15 against the Dominicans. Again inside, Cousins strip. Curry's there. Great hustle by Steph Curry.
Curry smelled that out, came right in from the perimeter. Cousins very aggressive. Now, DeMarcus Cousins needs to understand that Casey Frank is not going to defend the rim. He needs to just go straight up through him and not worry about any kind of shot blocking. He's got the strength and power to just go right through Casey Frank's beard and go to the rim. Casey Frank, by the way, played at Northern Arizona. He is the New Zealand's naturalized citizen. Played his basketball at Northern Arizona for Ben Howland, native of Port Jefferson, New York, out on Long Island.
Friend, you see Derrick Rose back in the game. Also, Anthony Davis, who was poked in the eye, we're told, and Bob Holtzman telling us also had some bleeding of the nose, but he's back on the floor. Great move by Vocuna, getting by Steph Curry on the baseline.
Well, they smelled the mismatch out right from the inbounds. I think they switched it, and that left Curry inside with Vocuna, who's an undersized power forward, but physical.
Curry misses. Davis right back on the floor with an offensive rebound and a putback. And you see Derrick Rose pressuring Lindsey Tate, the backup point guard for New Zealand. And many of the questions are, how much will Derrick Rose play in this 3 games in 3 days? That's Corey Webster, the older brother of Ty Webster, missing that baseline shot. Rose the pull-up and score.
Good push, good quickness. That's a 15-foot shot in rhythm. And you know what? If he missed that shot, I have a funny feeling that Team USA would have had a great opportunity to offensive rebound that.
Now, Rose clearly didn't look as sharp as he did against Finland, playing the back-to-back. And again, 3 games in 3 days. No official word if perhaps he would sit out tomorrow, but that'll all be decided. This will go New Zealand's way after the turnover.
Well, in defense of Derrick Rose, none of the guards played well against Turkey.
Yeah.
You know, it was really it was Cousins and Fareed and Davis really that led them in scoring, and D. Rose coming off that really impressive performance in game 1. Just didn't have it in game 2, but he wasn't alone.
Isaac Fotu, you can't miss him. Number 12 in black, the big hair, another American college player from Hawaii. Got 3 college players on this roster.
And New Zealand doesn't have the scoring power to stay with Team USA. But for Team USA, it's a matter of just getting great shots and crashing the glass.
Second opportunities as well, and Steph Curry banging out the 3-pointer.
There's one area of improvement, Mark, in terms of USA's perimeter. It's shooting open, uncontested shots versus contested shots, which they've been baited into in many instances in these first 2.5 games.
There we have a tied possession, more like the college rule. Possession arrow in favor of New Zealand, but Derrick Rose getting right in there that time. That's what we've seen from him. His ability to play defense hasn't gone away.
No, it's been solid. And really, other than that first, Team USA, give them credit now. They were brilliant in the second half against Turkey. It just took a wake-up call at halftime, and the defense, I thought, was smothering.
This is Tate. Nice give underneath. Casey Frank with the emphatic jam.
Casey Frank has spent most of his career in New Zealand.
Nice feed underneath. Frank the foul. Anthony Davis will go to the line. That's the first foul on Frank. 4th team foul in the quarter. FIBA rules. If you get 4 fouls on the 5th, you're in the bonus per quarter.
One of the things Anthony Davis has done really well in this tournament, he's done a lot of things well, but really good at rolling to the rim and taking advantage of defensive breakdowns and pick and roll defense.
Davis bags the first. A look at Coach Mike Krzyzewski. 3 gold medals and a bronze since taking over Team USA in 2006. And they've won 56 straight games. That includes the exhibitions, FIBA, and Olympic play since the loss to Greece, right in the semifinals, 2006 FIBA.
2006, exactly. In Japan.
Now, just like that, the U.S. is open to 12-point advantage as we come up on 90 seconds to go in our opening quarter in Bilbao, Spain. Fotu knocking out a deep 3.
Yeah, that's not his strength as far as shooting the ball from the perimeter, but a good kick out.
Derrick Rose missing there, and Corey Webster has the rebound. The 25-year-old had 22 points in the loss to Turkey.
Frank.
He wanted a foul call there. Gay the other way. Finding Thompson in the corner, and the United States starting to hit from the perimeter like they haven't so far in this tournament.
Good rhythm shot by Klay Thompson. Defender was not really there to contest. Good ball movement by Rudy Gay.
The U.S. is 3 for 5 from three-point land to open this game against New Zealand. Webster with an answer on a triple. It's Corey Webster.
Corey Webster has really matured as an international player. He's a volume shooter, but he's become more of a playmaker for this team. He played 1 year in college at Lambuth University in Tennessee before turning pro. Their dad, Tony Webster, played at the University of Hawaii and then had a long career in New Zealand. Tony Webster from Rochester, New York. And the Webster brothers, the mainstays of this New Zealand team. Good mix of old with Penny, Frank, and young.
And a foul on James Harden with 6 seconds to go. That'll be his first.
You see Casey Frank, who played on some very good Northern Arizona teams for Ben Howland. Had lots of success.
Smart play by Harden. The U.S. had a foul to give here. Yep. Shot clock now off. New Zealand trying to get off a last-second shot. Frank, floater. Missed it at the horn. Looks like they might count that for B.J. Anthony. And so Steph Curry with 8 points. Kenneth Faried with 7. But New Zealand closes to within 7 points at the end of the first. Thanks to this move by B.J. Anthony. Just got rid of it as the lights came on. 1 quarter in the books. U.S. with the lead in Bilbao. And the second quarter's underway, and the lob for Cousins, not able to convert there.
That's a play. Team USA runs out of timeouts. Ball screen, roll the big to the rim. Other big tries to find them, and Cousins just came up a little bit empty.
Isaac Fotu, triple try not there. The second unit for New Zealand has showed a lot better energy than the first unit as Cousins finishes on the other end.
But they've got to get back on defense. Good job by Steph Curry again. I think that was Curry. Found Cousins or D Rose, my fault.
29-20, the United States in group game number 3 out of 5, 2-0 to start. And losing the ball, Corey Webster right to Rose, pushing it down court. The lob for Rose, puts it up, touched by Cousins, not there, but another opportunity.
That's probably a situation where they were maybe a little too unselfish, and you don't really mind that. Faried probably could have got to the rim and done what he just did right there.
7-point lead after 1, and an early basket from Kenneth Faried over the top. Just not enough size from this New Zealand team to combat the United States front court.
Well, not enough size, not enough savvy guard play, really. And this game, you know, again, this is an overwhelming favorite, Team USA. They're a lot better than New Zealand, but what you're looking for if you're Coach K is execution. You know, I jokingly said it's like a guarantee game, a non-conference game in college. Well, even when you're supposed to win by 30, you want to keep improving, because eventually you're going to meet somebody, whether it's Slovenia in the semis, Lithuania in the semis, Spain, France in the finals, that can give you real trouble if you don't clean up the things that you need to clean up, because you haven't been together that long. That's really the key. The continuity is something that is always a work in progress.
Off the foul by DeMarcus Cousins, his first, and we'll detail some of the other action going on around Spain, but the country of Spain, their national team, has looked very impressive early on. Nice feed underneath, an even better block by Kenneth Faried.
Well, you see Coach K's now got the 3-man rotation with Cousins, Faried, and Davis.
Harden accelerating to the basket, draws contact, and he'll get to the line. As Corey Webster picks up the personal, his first.
There's that effort again defensively. DeMarcus Cousins.
I think I'm giving that block to Cousins there.
Yeah, you know, I wouldn't call him a pleasant surprise if you follow what he's been able to do year by year in the league, and then how he has really handled himself since the start of training camp. I mean, the guy has played hard. When he got hurt, he worked hard to get back. He had that knee injury in training camp. And that 3-man rotation has actually turned out to be, right now, Team USA's greatest strength.
Well, there was so much question going into the cutdowns. Would be with all the embarrassment of riches at point guard, and the United States opted for the bigger front court, and whether or not they use all 5 guys, or as you pointed out, they're using the 3-man rotation.
Yeah.
That's been the difference so far here early on. I know you can kind of throw out the first game. It was a rout against Finland.
Well, they made it a rout because of how well they played.
They're really pressuring the
that's
New
great.
Guards.
That's a great job of trapping the ball right there.
Harden a little short on that feed down low for Cousins. Kirk Penny comes away with it. Here's a pull-up jumper and a 3-pointer good. Everett Bartlett into the game scoring.
He's a guy that hasn't played much for Coach Vucinic, but he's a veteran guy of the New Zealand Pro League. He went to high school in Utah.
And a basket by Klay Thompson here. Vucinic, who coaches New Zealand and is of Serbian descent, I'm told has a New Zealand accent with his English, a nice New Zealand twang.
Yeah, he played 11 years in the Pro League.
Bartlett again, and that's back-to-back 3-pointers by the 6'4" veteran swingman.
Now you can nitpick and say, they've given up 26 points already, but credit New Zealand. They've maintained their poise, and that's good inside-out basketball right there. The more touches Team USA has in a possession, the easier the shots they'll come by. And they can play one-on-one all night and still win this game by 30, but that doesn't make them a better team later in the tournament. That was good inside-out basketball by DeMarcus Cousins.
And, of course, two of the two best 3-point shooters in the NBA by made 3-pointers last year. Curry and his teammate Thompson, as Corey Webster hits there for New Zealand.
That's 3 straight threes by New Zealand, and they're within striking distance. I think Coach Vucinic has got to like the way they've played so far.
And they'll count that for Kyrie Irving. Fouled on his way to the basket. Chance at a 3-point play.
There's Corey Webster. Young man, it's one of those young up-and-coming New Zealand stars, along with his brother Ty. Rob Lowe, who you and I saw during the season.
Yep, at St. Louis.
Yep, had a great 4-year career for first Rick Majerus and then Jimmy Cruz. They've got a young man that almost made this roster, Ty Wynyard, who's 16 years old.
I got him 6'8", 230 at age 16.
Well, he's a baby, and he almost made the team. And it's always fun to watch these guys mature. 4 or 6 years from now, we'll see a Corey Webster. He'll be a veteran on this team. Ty Webster as well.
Kyrie Irving's 3-point play, giving the U.S. a 12-point spread. Here's Lowe from outside, a big man who can shoot from distance, but missed the target that time.
And Rob Lowe, Rick Majerus, one of his first recruits at St. Louis, and he really had a terrific 4-year career. They had a good team with Dwayne Evans and Jordan Jett, and Rob Lowe was really the unsung star of that team.
Loading up Anthony Davis. Lowe displacing him a bit, and the missed shot by Davis. Here come the Kiwis. Penny penetrating. Here's the kick out. Bartlett missing that time, and the rebound to Fareed.
Fareed is a great bust-out rebounder, man. His first 2 dribbles are great out of the defensive transition, and this guy gets to the rim at will.
I was going to say, there's not too many guys you could talk about in the NBA who are as good off the bounce as Kyrie Irving is.
I think this tournament is really helping Kyrie Irving. I think he's been their most consistent guard for Coach K. He's not going to have to be the go-to guy necessarily on that Cavs team this year, but this is a great confidence builder.
The United States enjoying its largest lead so far as Mika Vukona picks up that foul, and Anthony Davis will head to the free throw line. Not only is he great off the bounce, but has such a great array of finishes with both hands.
He really does. He's shooting the ball better than he has as well.
Here's a look at what Kyrie Irving has done so far in this tournament through the first 2 games.
Understated, but I think everybody who's watched this team since training camp would tell you that he's really playing at a very high level.
That's 7 straight points for the U.S. Lead up to 16. This has been kind of Coach K's 9-man rotation. And Kyrie Irving.
I think Kyrie Irving was in the wrong place at the wrong time. They called him for a foul. Oh, no,
they got Lowe for his third.
They got Lowe. Yeah, that's more like it. Lowe just turned and hip checked. And that's a good call right there.
Fran, I've seen a lot of illegal screens that have not been called so far in this tournament. Is it more generous from the FIBA officials?
Well,
U.S., if you widen that stance, you're going to get called every time.
You know what it is? The pick and roll is so important to the FIBA game that if you're coaching it, you have to live with a certain number of illegal screens, because big guy screening really makes it difficult for guards in FIBA play to defend. And it's like holding in football, you know, or pass interference. It's just part of the game, and if it's your style, you're a pick and roll team, you're going to get your share of those.
United States with a healthy lead, and off the turnover. It's like Kyrie Irving's feeling pretty good. Falling away, hits that basket.
Good decision right there. Could have passed it. It would have been traffic. Kept it, finished.
New Zealand, the opposing teams, well, half of them either love to watch it, watch Derrick Rose getting an eyeful here.
Yeah, the Turkish national team didn't embrace this.
No.
James Harden is what the... But it's part of their tradition. You know, they finished 4th back in 2002 in Indianapolis, and the Haka dance was really popular at that time at Conseco Fieldhouse.
Yeah, that was the only other time New Zealand faced the United States in FIBA play.
You know, they lost by 50.
Yeah.
And yet they finished 4th. Team USA finished 6th in that tournament.
That's right. As Vukona picks up his second foul.
Both assistant coaches for Coach Vucinic, Pero Cameron and Paul Henare. They were members of that team. Pero Cameron was the only non-NBA player to make the all-tournament team as they finished 4th. Guys like Yao Ming, Manu, Dirk, and Stojakovic were the other 4
Wow.
players.
That was kind of the sea change, wasn't it, for Jerry Colangelo and company? What happened in Indianapolis?
Well, that started it, and of course 2004 in the Athens Olympics, that pretty much polished it off. And since 2006, there's certainly been a great renaissance of USA basketball, and as we've chronicled at every level.
Yeah.
There's now a system in place for young players. Good energy right there.
Great tip in by Kenneth Faried.
This guy, I'm telling you what, I'd like to be his agent in a couple of years.
Denver Nuggets fans watching are glad he's on their side right now.
They've got heavy-duty contracts with guys like JaVale McGee and Gallinari. They're going to be paying this guy.
Up fake from Penny. And in traffic hits the jumper. Kirk Penny.
Really good, solid player. You know, Tony Bennett, who's now the coach at Virginia, played for his dad. Tony was the assistant coach at Wisconsin for Dick Bennett. And because Tony finished his NBA career, then went to New Zealand, he got to know Kirk Penny when Kirk was 15 years old. And Tony recruited him to Wisconsin. And later, Kirk finished up playing for Bo Ryan.
Went to the Final Four as a freshman with Wisconsin. Played in 2 Olympics. Sydney 2000, Athens 2004. And still going strong at age 33, playing professionally in Turkey. Casey Frank missing on the three-pointer, and Curry fouled on the loose ball by Thomas Abercrombie, his first.
In fact, Abercrombie's the guy that played 2 years for Tony Bennett at Washington State. But you know, you like this. Now, right now, it's very methodical. Team USA not playing with a lot of emotion, but just methodical defensively, forcing tough shots. They are pounding the offensive glass. And this is about exactly where we expected to score at this point in the game.
United States still with tests against the Dominican Republic tomorrow, 3:30, as DeMar DeRozan waiting to check in, and Mason Plumlee as well. And then the Ukraine on Thursday. Ukraine and Turkey had a big match earlier in this arena in Bilbao, won by Mike Fratello's Ukraine squad.
You know, and they're 2-1, and they're playing without Sergei Gladier. They're probably best all-around player. Pujetter may be their naturalized citizen. But Sergey sprained his ankle in the early part of that second game, and he did not play today.
Got an update from Group D. You see Australia leading Lithuania as they approach halftime. You see all these games on ESPN3. And the tie-up, New Zealand has the arrow. Great way to follow the tournament. Not just watching the U.S. senior national team, but all 24 teams here in FIBA playing. There's been some great games as well.
Yes, there have. Been some great performances. You know, Senegal has been a surprise. 2-1 now. They came off a huge win yesterday against Croatia. They had never won a FIBA World Championship game until this week, and they've got 2 wins in a row over Puerto Rico and Croatia. And Gorgui Dieng, former Louisville Cardinal, yeah, he's been outstanding.
At 28 and 8.
Yep.
Yesterday had an 18 and 13 against Puerto Rico.
Mohamed Faye, former SMU Mustang, is playing well as well for Senegal. That was not a fluke. They led Croatia from the early part of that game and really never relented.
Now, there's always a team that you're not sure how they're going to do. They're going to make some noise, and it seems like Senegal may be that team here early in the tournament.
They play very, very hard.
Casey Frank open for a moment, fakes Plumlee, drives the lane, and the tip-in goes down. That's Abercrombie with the finish.
Abercrombie is a really good athlete. He's had some moments. He had a terrific 2010 World Championships.
Former Washington State Cougar.
Yeah, he didn't play much there, and he left after a redshirt freshman year.
DeMar DeRozan getting into the game. Coach K getting his other 3, I would call them. You get the 9-man rotation, and the other 3 are going to get it. Should get some good looks these next 3 days.
I think you get an idea that Coach K feels this game's going to be in hand, and important to get those down the line guys, if you will. They're all NBA stars, but for purposes of this tournament, DeMar DeRozan a role player. Plumlee as well.
Well, a much better first half for the United States than it was on Sunday against Turkey, as Thompson misses on that 3. Minute 40 to go here in the opening half in Bilbao, and Kyrie Irving poking the ball away from behind, and a whistle near midcourt. And Corey Webster will pick up his second. Coverage of the FIBA Basketball World Cup continues on Thursday on ESPN2. Team USA will take to the court against Ukraine at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Dominican Republic tomorrow at 3:30.
You know what you're going to be doing for 2 days? You're going to be pronouncing Sviatoslav Mikhailuk.
Soon to be at the Kansas Jayhawk.
And, you know, maybe the youngest player in the Big 12 and in major college basketball. He doesn't turn 18 until next June. As soon as this tournament is over, he'll join Kansas. And you see Ty Webster.
Only 19.
He's only 19.
Got some young guys in this tournament.
Here's the great thing for Ty Webster, okay? If you're Tim Miles, there's nobody in the Big Ten that's going to be any tougher to play against than these guys. And they've got a great nucleus coming back in Nebraska, that brand new arena.
See, he's not going to go up against Steph Curry or
good players.
Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, you know, good players. Zach Irvin, you know, from Michigan and guys like that, but certainly not Kyrie Irving.
Kenneth Faried, 11 points and 6 rebounds as he checks out here with 96 seconds to go in the first half.
Let me make this quick point. Chris Harriman, the assistant coach, he's an Aussie at Nebraska who recruited Ty Webster. A lot of people know his son Avery is battling really serious health issues with cancer, and we all know Avery is strong, and everybody in Nebraska is pulling for you, Avery, and we are too. But Chris is the reason why Ty is a member of this Nebraska team.
That's a 10th turnover on New Zealand, Fran. Ty Webster, look at him there.
Yeah, he's got to shoot better this coming year, and he's got to handle that ball a little bit better, but he's a good prospect going into a sophomore year at Nebraska.
Casey Frank picks up his second personal foul. Here's some of the whistles in the background, the equivalent of the boos in Europe.
Well, I said this the other day. There's overwhelming pressure on Team USA to win this tournament, and yet almost everybody who follows this tournament wants Team USA to lose.
Right.
So
there was a lot of word going around the Twittersphere and other places, all points, when Turkey was doing what it did on Sunday. There was definitely an early red flag.
Oh, yeah.
That
well,
went up.
in 2010, you remember You know,
was it the Brazil game?
it was, yeah.
In the preliminary game.
In the preliminary round,
Yep.
remember, Huertas had the 2 free throws
right.
to tie it. He missed the first, and then he had to purposely miss the second. Team USA escaped with a 2-point win. So the Turkey game was a great lesson for this team to not underestimate, you know, their opponents. And what came out of it was a brilliant second half.
Well, the United States, Fran, has attempted 20 free throws in the first half. New Zealand's only gotten to the line twice. Hit both, but much of that could be skewed to the fact, A, the defense of the U.S. and also New Zealand's unwillingness to attack it.
Well, they don't have anybody that can score at the rim.
That's a great high-low feed, and B.J. Anthony the bucket.
That time just a breakdown, but a good look by Casey Frank.
You get so many American connections. B.J.'s dad, Benny, played football at Auburn, also played basketball. Ended up in New Zealand. And it's out of bounds to New Zealand.
You know, Isaac Fotu, we talked about him playing for Gib Arnold. His dad was a English professional rugby player.
That's right.
It's fun to follow these guys that, you know, the average NBA fan doesn't know much about, and tell their stories. And
that's the 11th turnover, Fran. You mentioned Ty Webster's not going to go up against tougher guys when you're getting picked by Kyrie Irving.
No, Kyrie's been really good defensively the entire run for Team USA.
And the U.S. turnover, number 8 here in the first half. Shot clock will be off. Just under 17 seconds to go. Team USA a comfortable lead over New Zealand as they have opened 2-0 in group play. See if they try to get Penny the last shot. Instead, it's another turnover, number 12, but it goes right back to New Zealand. 1 second to go. And Corey Webster not able to hit there, but the United States with a 22-point lead led by Davis and Fareed, each with 11 points. Halftime in Bilbao, the United States with a 57-35 lead over New Zealand. Halftime at the Vizcaya Arena in Bilbao. First half highlights, Fran Fraschilla, U.S. much better half.
Good balance of inside and out, I thought, in the first half offensively. 57 points speaks for itself, but Anthony Davis picking up where he left off in these first 2 games, and they got it going a little bit from the perimeter. Some open looks. Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Kyrie Irving's ability to get to the rim a factor. And then how about Kenneth Faried, 5 of 5 today, 19 of 22 in this tournament.
Here's Kyrie Irving with Bob Holtzman.
Kyrie, much better first half today than you guys had Sunday against Turkey. What was the focus coming in?
Same focus as usual. We just got to get off to a fast start. You know, there's not so many timeouts in the first half or in the entire game. So I come out with a, you know, intense focus and intensity that, you know, other teams can't match.
Seems like you personally are really determined to push the pace. What's been your mindset today?
Just doing whatever it takes to, you know, keep our tempo. You know, guys are in a great rhythm when we have a great tempo. So just trying to get everybody involved and do whatever it takes to win.
Kyrie, thanks.
No problem. Thanks.
Well, Kyrie Irving right there with Bob Holtzman. But again, Fran, the big guys, Davis and Fareed getting it done.
Nothing wrong with this. Playing the game from the rim out. That'll open up some perimeter shooting. But you love the energy, the effort, the relentlessness from these 2 guys who played a major factor in this tournament so far.
Kyrie Irving, Kenneth Fareed, 5 of 5, as you mentioned, Fran, now 19 of 22 for the tournament, and the second half in the third preliminary round game is underway at Vizcaya Arena. The United States with their same starting 5, and James Harden in the opening seconds hitting a 3-pointer.
Good, simple, out of timeout play, well executed by Anthony Davis and James Harden, drawn up right before they went out on the court.
The United States has hit 5 of 8 from 3-point land. That was certainly a sore spot. As Turkey played a lot of zone, the United States was trying to hit over it and could not, and at least a good sign is they'll count that basket. Fareed called for the goaltend.
Yeah, good curl move here. That's the same play that they called Steph Curry for traveling to open the game, but you see that ball on the way down. Not a bad message to send to start the second half. New Zealand's not going to get a lot of points in the paint. Oh, that's 2 in a row. Oh, that was the counter. You got to play Harden's handoff for the 3. Set up really nicely by the passing of Anthony Davis.
I said the same starting five, but Derrick Rose is on the floor to start this second half, not Kyrie Irving. So Coach K working some different combinations with a big lead as Faried tips it away. Great baseline save. Vukona from the baseline missing short, and Faried everywhere for that rebound.
Well, what this does, Derrick Rose gets to play with the starters now. And it's not like there's a big drop off anyway, but he gets to get in a little bit of rhythm with guys like Davis and Faried, whose energy has been, as I said, contagious. That's a great backdoor cut. That was kind of a part two of a two-part plan by Coach K. Come out. They gave Harden the three first. They overplayed it that second possession, and a real smart back cut.
That was on Kirk Penny, his second. Derrick Rose at the line. How important, Fran, is it as we look at Nenad Vucinic, the head coach of New Zealand, for James Harden on the offensive end to get going? We've seen the defense so far, but how important for Harden in this tournament?
I think it's important, but I think he's got to play within the rhythm of the game. And you know, these guys, it's a shorter game. There's more weapons out there than they're used to playing with during their season. They have to do less, but they have to be as efficient. And you know, tough contested shots, they don't need to take because they can get a great shot if they run their stuff.
Off the bounce, Abercrombie missing the shot. Another rebound for Anthony Davis. United States 2-0 in pool play. And a little bit of a scare for a half and into the third quarter against Turkey on Sunday. Offensive rebound in the double team. Strip ball, but Faried coming away with it.
New shot clock now so they can move the ball.
Harden against Lowe. And is that a travel call against James Harden going the other way?
How good is Kenneth Faried on that backside? What's our guy Jeff Van Gundy always say? 70% of shots taken from one side are going to be missed opposite.
Yep.
And Faried, in a Paul Silas-like way, just rooted his man underneath the rim.
New Zealand wide open. Defense not rotating that time as Abercrombie gets the stuff.
Simple dribble handoff right there. You got to treat it either as a switch or the big's got to stay home and show. You don't want to see slippage right here.
And a turnover.
If you're Team USA, the worst thing you can do right now is to give away a 24-point lead. Even if it gets down into the teens, you have to put this team away with your offensive and defensive execution.
And New Zealand knew after that tough loss to Turkey they were going to have an uphill climb, and 0-2 and facing the United States is a certain way to go home early in the tournament, as they're staring at an 0-3, barring an epic comeback here this afternoon.
They've got games with Finland and the Ukraine left in pool play. They have to win both, and then they're going to need a little bit of luck as well in order to advance to the round of 16.
And a travel called against Mika Vukona. Let's take a look at those Group C standings. Right now you see Ukraine with their win this afternoon listed ahead of the United States, but Finland and New Zealand right now on the outside looking in.
Yeah, and it's really, you know, it's not the group of death. That's happened so many times in this tournament. It's not the group of death, certainly. It's the weakest pool by far. So any of the teams left really with 2 more wins can make a difference.
High off the glass for Webster. No, Lowe can't finish, but another possession for New Zealand. United States still with games against the Dominican Republic and the Ukraine to come before heading off to Barcelona. And a foul on the floor called. Now Anthony Davis, you could put that ball way up there and still have him have a chance to dunk it.
And James Harden is really proficient at that. Of course, he plays with Dwight Howard during the season, but James Harden is, look at this, we've seen this before.
Here's a steal by Faried and a dunk.
Can you imagine there were people that thought he shouldn't make the team?
Wow.
And it's because you don't watch the Denver Nuggets during the season. You don't realize what this guy means to his team and the kind of ability he has.
Well, it's been the story really of his entire basketball career, right? From Newark on to Morehead State, drafted in the first round. Here's another feed to Davis, absorbs the contact, and will get back to the line. Vacona is going to pick up his third. Get a good overhead look there.
All this started because defensive stop, get out and run, and Davis and Faried really accelerate up the floor in transition.
Anthony Davis back at the line. The United States big time advantage at the free throw line over New Zealand today. Here's a look at Kenneth Faried. Only one miss early here in this quarter in this game, but shooting at a very high percentage, mostly point blank at the rim. The United States 16 of 24 free throws. New Zealand's only been there twice. As we hit the 6-minute mark to go in the third quarter. Ty Webster holding. Baseline drive, tried the reverse, tipped up Vacona for the basket.
And Faried could have shut the baseline off that time. That didn't need to happen because two defenders, Faried and Davis, went for the block, and that allowed New Zealand their offensive rebound.
One-on-one, Davis against Frank. Kirk Penny leading New Zealand the other way. Ty Webster back to Vacona. And New Zealand's gone a little bit cold from the field as Curry quickens the pace. Near steal at midcourt on the outlet to Penny.
There's that drive again. You see both Faried and Davis go for the block. Nobody there for Team USA, and Vacona with the garbage basket.
Now, those two have been such a big force for the United States on the baseline.
You know, it's interesting, Mark, right now, you know, all the talk coming into the tournament was Spain's front line and whether Team USA had enough firepower to match them. And now I think the big question mark becomes the consistency of Team USA's guards, because if you know about Spain, you're talking about a team where Ricky Rubio's like the fourth, in my opinion, their fourth or fifth best guard, even though he starts. You know, with guys like Navarro and Calderon and Rodriguez and Rudy Fernandez. And so, you know, Coach K's got 4 or 5 games here to make sure that the perimeter, both offense and defense, gets cleaned up a little bit, because the low post game has become a strength.
Yeah, that's a good point. How does the low post game though match up? If we, it's hard to compare apples and oranges.
It'll match up well because the way the Gasols are playing, one of them is, oh, that's a nice cut right there. One of them is always playing away from the basket. And Powell's making threes yesterday. Ibaka really is guardable because he's more of a mid-range shooter. You got to keep him off the glass. That's a great cut right there. And Team USA right now, you know, coaches nitpick, and the thing you got to do if you're Team USA is maintain your focus even when you're up big, because this is like a practice session right now in guarding things you're going to have to guard later on in the tournament. The Turkey zone, for example, was a great lesson for Team USA 2 days ago, and guarding some of this pattern offense is good for Team USA right now too. You're never satisfied as a coach.
No, there's always something to work on.
Because listen, New Zealand should be down 28 right now. It's how do you get better so that when you do play the best teams in the tournament next Sunday, you're prepared.
4:15 to go here in the third quarter. Team USA trying to get to 3-0 in group play. United States 0 fouls so far here in the third quarter, and a turnover as Harden trying to pass down low. Boy, what a tough schedule if you're New Zealand. They got the United States today. They're staring at Ukraine tomorrow.
Yeah, a big game for Ukraine at 2-1, and Mike Fratello's team. Mike Fratello's done a great job with that team, given what's going on in that country as well.
Here's Rose stripped of the ball and a whistle. Coverage of the FIBA Basketball World Cup continues tomorrow right here on ESPN2. Team USA will take the court against the Dominican Republic in group preliminary round play. USA-Dominican Republic tomorrow, 3:30 Eastern, ESPN2, and you could also watch it live on Watch ESPN.
Dominican Republic coached by Orlando Antigua, former John Calipari assistant. He played his college basketball.
Hurricane.
Yeah, well, he played at Pitt. You know, he was a Pitt Panther as a player.
Steph Curry on the three. And as Andre Drummond was going up, he got grabbed from behind by B.J. Anthony.
Yeah, Orlando Antigua now the new coach at South Florida.
That's right.
He did a very nice job last year of guiding the Dominican Republic in FIBA Americas. Got a qualifying spot in this World Cup, led by Francisco Garcia, former Louisville Cardinal.
Current Houston Rocket. We'll have that for you tomorrow afternoon. Mike Krzyzewski's Team USA took yesterday completely off in advance of 3 games in 3 days. And the tip-in goes down for Klay Thompson. Well, I think of all the storylines, at least ones in Chicago they'll be watching, should be interesting to see how much Derrick Rose plays tomorrow in the midst of 3-3, as Kirk Penny misses there. When he played on Sunday against Turkey, it was the first time since November, obviously he was injured in late November, that he had played a back-to-back game in the NBA as he did in this FIBA tournament.
Well, they're leaving it totally up to Derrick, and it's not like he's overextended himself today in terms of lots of minutes. So I actually would be surprised if he doesn't play tomorrow or Thursday, because Coach K can easily manage his minutes. If anything, I think he needs to be more in a basketball rhythm by playing, but that's been left up to him.
12 minutes so far today. Rose started the second half on the bench right now. Kyrie Irving back on the floor, and the steal for Steph Curry all alone for the easy deuce. And the lead is up to 30. Pass interior. Irving got a hand on it. Fotu gets it back and scores.
Fotu, Ty Webster, great experience for these young guys still playing in college.
Now, yesterday, Spain and Greece, as Steph Curry gets called for the reach here. Spain and Greece were the first to clinch a spot in the round of 16, both going to 3-0 yesterday. As we watch the replay, Irving also pretty good defender down low.
Well, he has been in this tournament. His ball pressure's been really good. I think back to training camp when I was sitting with David Blatt, the new coach of the Cavaliers, and we were watching Kyrie pressure the ball, and you know, he said people had told me that he didn't extend himself defensively well. What I'm seeing tells me he can, and I think that could be a real strength of his game going forward. You know, in 82 games, it's hard to be a guy that does every single thing for your team, and there's going to be less pressure on Kyrie with LeBron and Kevin Love.
Nice move by Corey Webster inside. Well, when the United States gets back from this tournament, there'll be about 10 to 15 days before training camps begin. And I would think a guy like LeBron James is going to set the tone on the defensive end for his young Cavaliers. And Kyrie Irving, I think, will be right there with him. And a loose ball foul against the United States. Let's check out some news and notes from around this FIBA Basketball World Cup. Spain clinching a berth in the round of 16. Group B, we told you Greece as well, but Senegal with the 2 wins, the very impressive win yesterday.
Yep, first 2 wins, and yesterday against Croatia, a team that came in undefeated. They really led that game for 40 minutes. Great energy and effort by Senegal, lots of pride, and that's been great, you know, to watch the Philippines. Philippines is 0-3, but
that was a great game yesterday with Argentina.
Playing their hearts out.
And a dunk for Casey Frank. Yeah, we know Argentina's kind of in between now. I know Ginobili's not there. They got some young guys, and the veteran guys are aging.
Yeah, they are. They're on the downslide. There's no question.
There's Plumlee fouled as Frank got a hand in there.
You know, you and I talked about this before the game. You see Casey Frank gets the basket. Casey Frank is a naturalized New Zealander, and they had a choice, a tough one, between Casey Frank and former Duke player Nick Horvath, who was on that national championship team back in the early 2000s.
Right, 2001.
You can only take one naturalized player on your roster, and they needed big guys, and it came down to both of those guys, and Casey Frank wound up winning that last spot. But otherwise, Nick Horvath would be here playing against his former coach, as will maybe Martinas Pochis from Lithuania, who played at Duke. So there is a Duke flavor here in Spain.
Loose ball foul on Andre Drummond. Yeah, you mentioned Casey Frank played for Ben Howland at Northern Arizona after spending his high school years in the Phoenix area. One of many New Zealanders, or guys who playing professionally in New Zealand. I thought it was interesting as we talk a little about New Zealand here. There's a school in Auckland called the Westlake Boys High School. They are a powerhouse of secondary schools, as they call them in New Zealand. 6 of the 12 players on this roster played at Westlake.
If this was the United States, we'd claim that they were recruiting.
Ball out of bounds to New Zealand. Ty Webster and Corey Webster, brothers, both play. Hey, how about Lithuania on the comeback trail down in Gran Canaria? They were held to 8 points in the second quarter. They've pulled it within 7 here.
Yeah, that's a huge game for Lithuania. It has major implications, because if they do not finish first, as Casey Frank putting on a little show, if they do not finish first in Pool D, then they will not play, likely will not play Team USA in the semifinals, which means they may be out of a medal opportunity. So that game with Slovenia on Thursday will be huge, but even bigger if they don't come back and win.
Lindsey Tate with the basket, and the foul will get him to the line. Kyrie Irving going to be called for that foul.
You see that smile on Lindsey Tate's face. 32 years old, plays in that New Zealand league, and little Euro step right there.
Tate lost his starting job to Ty Webster, the 19-year-old point guard. Off the missed free throw, just to wrap up that story you're talking about. Group C, the United States is in. Will be playing Group D in the knockout round to start, so they would play the 4th place team if the U.S. ends up #1 in the group.
That's
Final
right.
shot time for the U.S. Irving off the crossover. The putback, not there for Plumlee. And we are through 3 quarters. The United States 10 minutes away from a 3-0 start. Group play in Spain. The United States actually outscored in the 3rd quarter, but still a healthy 75-54 lead. Before the start of the 4th quarter, we were talking about Group D down in Gran Canaria, in the Canary Islands. Slovenia and Lithuania tied for first, but we're keeping everybody up to date. Right now, they're trailing Australia.
Exactly, and what the ramifications are here is that you want to stay away from Team USA as long as possible. The winner of Group D will not see Team USA until the semifinals, and that also keeps you in contention for a medal, even if you play in that 3rd place game.
And of course, groups A and B could only be played in the gold medal game in Madrid.
Yeah, right now, Team USA, they've been in garbage time for about 10 minutes, and this doesn't really help. I mean, they're going to win this game. I used to get frustrated as a coach when we had a 25-point lead and we won by 14. I'd rather win by 35.
Well, it's, I guess, natural for the players.
It is. It
now,
is.
Again, coming off Turkey, the feeling was you'd get 40 minutes of this. But I just think it's a natural reaction once you go up there.
There's no question. They know they're in garbage time.
Steph Curry picking up his 3rd foul. It's Tom Thibodeau. Coach K watch from the bench. Well, as you mentioned, there's a complete different feeling from being a player throughout this preliminary round, especially in games you're winning handily, and a coach. And how do the coaches handle that difference?
You know, you just got to be honest, really. You got to give them honest feedback and say, you know what, we just coasted through that second half, and we're not going to be able to do that the later we go in the tournament. You know, I got to tell you, that game, if it ends up being Spain-USA in Madrid, Spain will be favored in that game, in part because of the home court. And I don't know odds makers numbers, but I guarantee you Spain will be favored in that game in Madrid.
Reminder, coverage of tennis continues tonight on ESPN. 7 Eastern prime time at the U.S. Open, presented by IBM. Roger Federer, the men's #2 seed, will highlight action. He's got 4th round game in the ladies' quarters after that on Ash Stadium. The 10 seed, Caroline Wozniacki, also available on Watch ESPN. Oh, and a dunk by James Harden here.
That's that little dribble handoff play they started the second half with, and Harden scored 3 different ways on that one particular play.
He's in double figures with 10. Nice reverse by Lindsay Tate.
Again, those are the kind of defensive breakdowns that don't matter right now, but will matter later on in the tournament.
Harden hits the deck as he was fouled near the basket. They're going to tag Casey Frank on that one. That'll be his 3rd personal.
Casey Frank, 36 years old, has spent a lot of his career playing around the world, mostly in New Zealand. And a great opportunity for him to tell his kids someday about games like this.
Well, until you really look at the rosters, and I know Coach Vucinic really could have used Steven Adams on this team,
yes,
but he had already decided that he was going to, you know, take care of other business.
Young player, you know, I think it was sort of implied by the Thunder that you need to keep working on your game. You know, they're also without Alex Pledger, who's been their starting center on the national team for a number of years. He was hurt a couple months ago. They were hoping to have him back, so this is a team depleted up front.
Fran, as we move forward, and the next rotation for the FIBA Basketball World Cup is going to be not 4 years, but 5 years. They're going to get off the cycle with the FIFA Soccer World Cup as that one rims in and out, but Fareed's right there to clean up. That's going to be 2019 and expanded to 32 teams.
Yes.
How will NBA or pro players be affected when we get to 1 year difference between Olympics and World Cup?
Well, remember, the other thing that's going to happen is they're going to be qualifying 12 months a year, much like in FIFA. And so there are going to be games played in the middle of the NBA season by USA teams that are not going to have likely NBA players on it. So it's going to be tricky. I mean, USA is going to qualify because it's 32 teams in the field, but not going to be quite the same as we've seen in the past. And oh boy, look at that. There's a lot of time left now for Lithuania.
Gran Canaria with 8 minutes to go. Lithuania's trailed all afternoon long. Davis, the interception and the slam.
He smelled that cross-court pass out, jumped the lane. Been a quietly effective 17-9 tonight for Anthony Davis.
I like quietly effective, as he has averaged 18-5 so far in the tournament. Coming off a tremendous year with New Orleans.
Yeah, I want to make one more point about Lithuania. They are without their starting point guard, Mantas Kalnietis, which really hurts them.
24-second shot clock violation there. 18th turnover for New Zealand. Now, you don't usually see the coach's whistle allowed in the arena in the United States. Yeah, that's a big loss for Lithuania.
It really is, and they're, you know, they're still undefeated at this point, coming down the last 8 minutes of that game with Australia.
Harden missing, loose ball foul on Fareed. That'll be his first of the day.
Kenneth Fareed right now still on his rookie deal, and that will change. You know, every team has got to have 3 franchise-type players if you're going to compete for an NBA title. I think he's played himself into a position where he can be, you know, he already is one of the Nuggets' best players, but in terms of winning big, he's going to be paid like it in a couple of years.
Off the 19th turnover, Anthony Davis converts. And that'll bring us to a timeout, a 7-0 run for the United States, cruising in. Meanwhile, in Granada, here's a look at the Group A standings. Spain 3-0. France, Serbia, and Brazil all 2-1. France has been fun to watch, Fran, as well here in the early part of the tournament.
Without Tony Parker, they've done a nice job, and it's a very balanced group at the top.
Rob Lowe with a nice fake to get by Farid.
You know, keep in mind, I mentioned I think that Spain will be favored in Madrid. They've got 8 players back who have been together for the last 6 to 8 years. And they're essentially the same guys that Kobe, LeBron, Carmelo, Wade struggled to beat twice in gold medal games.
Anthony Davis is waving his hands all alone underneath for that alley-oop. But I would think if there's a time to do it, coming so close in the Olympics, having it on their home floor, the age of Pau Gasol, this seems like if you're loaded up to beat the United States, this would be the turn.
Well, and the home court is a huge advantage. That's a big thing. I think on paper, you can make the argument we have the better roster, but their continuity for 6-8 years playing together. You know, Coach K told us in training camp, we're trying to form a brotherhood, but we're trying to do it in 3 weeks. Well, that brotherhood's been a brotherhood for 6 to 8 years.
Yeah, it's almost a literal brotherhood.
Well, it's like being in you know, special ops. You know, you live in you know, figuratively die together with a loss here or there.
There's the front court look at Team Spain.
And you remember, Mark, we were in Istanbul, and people will say, well, what happened in 2010? Well, no Calderon, no Gasol. I'm not sure if Ibaka played. I don't remember.
I don't think he did. I just remember Pau Gasol was doing television analysis right next to us.
And so that team is now, and interestingly, which will be fun for international basketball, they still have a young nucleus that will be good in the future. Now, Argentina's golden generation is about ended, but it's fun. It's great for the world. You know, Pau often says that his impetus for loving the game of basketball started with the Dream Team in Barcelona in 1992, and the after effects of that great Dream Team run is that the world has grown closer together from a basketball standpoint.
11 straight United States points. This is their biggest lead of the day at 31. And I also find it interesting with the countries like Argentina, like Spain. How will they reload, and how are their programs going to sustain a level of excellence that they have shown in the last decade?
Exactly right.
5 minutes to go in Bilbao. United States trying to get to 3-0. Dominican Republic on deck tomorrow afternoon.
And that's the beauty of Team USA under Jerry Colangelo and Mike Krzyzewski. We're the reigning world champions in the under-17 division. Kudos to Don Showalter and his team that just won the world title in Dubai in early August.
He's never lost, right? Coach Showalter? I think he's got a big zero.
He's a good coach. He's got good personnel too, but they've made it important to play for Team USA at the lower levels. And Billy Donovan has the reigning world under-19 champion. So we've said it many times. The model's improved. It's not perfect, but to get the best young players in the world to represent their country at every level is great. It's positive.
And the whistle. Need USA Basketball updates at your fingertips. Download the USA Basketball app today for the latest news on the men's and women's national teams. You can check out rosters, photos, videos, and more today. It's available at Google Play and the Apple App Store. As DeRozan picked up that last foul. You know what I also, Ed, friend, my international questions, I'm always going to default to you, but is there ever going to be a shift in the United States from a player's standpoint, not just fans, where the FIBA Basketball World Cup is more important than the Olympics? Because that's where our team is right now, where you've got the LeBron James, the Carmelo Anthonys, and all the top players.
Not in the near future, because the Olympics have been ingrained in our culture since we were all kids, including these NBA players. And by the way, the Olympics are such a great vehicle for commercial endorsement as well.
True.
And so there's a lot of extra, you know, revenue on the table for an Olympic athlete.
And we should also mention that the winner of the FIBA Basketball World Cup on the U.S. travel will get an automatic berth to Rio.
That is correct. If Team USA does not win the gold on September 14th, they will qualify or try to next year in Mexico. You see that 4-point lead, Australia hanging on. And remember, Australia is without Patty Mills.
You surprised how well they're playing?
Well, not really. They've got a good, solid veteran nucleus of guys. Matthew Dellavedova, Joe Ingles, who many people think can play in the league, Cameron Bairstow, Valpo's Ryan Brokoff, who had a real good career for Bryce Drew. It's an experienced team. Aaron Baines, who helped the Spurs last year.
That's right.
Win some games in the NBA Finals. And the Aussies are tough. That's a great game we're missing right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because those two teams really are feisty teams that, believe it or not, in the past have given Team USA a run for their money.
I know basketball has become big all over the world, but that's an area in Australia, even in nearby New Zealand. A lot of basketball interest. Great high-low, the 360 feed. And that'll count as a low knocked it through the cylinder from below. Counted for DeMarcus Cousins. Less than 3.5 minutes to go in this third preliminary round game. Thompson got a hand on it. DeRozan down court. Rudy Gay with a great fake and stuff.
Good hustle by DeMar DeRozan. He hasn't been called on as much, not really in the rotation, but we remember in 2010 the impact Andre Iguodala had on that team with his energy, hustle.
Check out this pass play. DeRozan's got a lot of highlights, usually high-flying dunks, but the little 360 dime for Boogie Cousins.
Boogie Cousins, you know he got that nickname?
No, how do you get that one? I like it.
Rod Strickland, now an assistant coach at South Florida, of course, an NBA, great NBA point guard for many years. He was at Kentucky, and he called him Boogie one day, and he said, "You got a little boogie in your game."
And
so Rod gets credit, yeah. Rod Strickland's got some sons that can play. They're just youngsters, but.
And a foul. We'll see DeMar DeRozan at the line with 2:38 to go. Updating you on the bigs. Anthony Davis 21-9 today. Kenneth Faried 15-11. Faried is 21 for 26 now in the tournament. That's a pretty good percentage. And the U.S. has forced 80 turnovers so far in the first almost 3 games. Dave Faried is crunching the numbers for us. I can see the smoke coming out of the fingertips.
Well, they've done a great job of hitting the glass, running the floor. There's been the occasional post-ups as well. But I think physically and mentally, too, confidence-wise, they're in a position, I think, as they keep playing well, talking about Faried, Davis, and Cousins, that they will give Spain all they can handle up front. We've been chronicling how good Spain's front line is, but that will be a great matchup.
That's Isaac Fotu, the University of Hawaii junior, hitting from outside. Led the Big West in field goal percentage last year.
Yeah, 58%. He didn't take any threes. You know, he knows who he is. He's an inside the lane player. Even though he hit a 3 in the first half, that's not really his game.
One of 3 college players, United States college players. Rob Lowe now done at St. Louis, and Ty Webster getting set to play his sophomore year at Nebraska. I know a lot of Cornhusker fans, including a special one, watching this game this afternoon.
Yeah, I got word our guy Avery Harriman, Chris Harriman, the assistant coach, his son is in the hospital right now getting some chemo treatments. He's watching, rooting for Ty Webster, and there you see Australia again. Lithuania undefeated. This opens the door, if they lose, for Slovenia to take some control, but they will play Lithuania on Thursday.
Slovenia's got Korea coming up in Gran Canaria later today. Of course, the Dragic brothers, Goran and Zoran.
Zoran's playing really well. He's got one more year on his deal, but I know a number of NBA teams are keeping a close eye on Zoran.
There's the drive and the near block by Cousins, but it goes down for Isaac, or rather for B.J. Anthony. Bodies flying under the basket with almost 90 seconds to go.
I would describe this mark today as workmanlike. I don't think Team USA played particularly sharp. Their energy was good. It wasn't at an unbelievable level, but they were a decided favorite.
Shot clock violation there.
And they just put one in the books, and they've got 2 more games left in pool play.
You know, I've seen a number of games around Spain where they'll actually stop on the shot clock violation even when teams are in pursuit. That time they allowed the continuation and the basket for Klay Thompson. Knocked out of bounds. I would think if you're grading the game also, Coach K wanted to see a quick start.
Yep.
Wanted to see his guys get out to a good pace, and that was probably #1 mission accomplished.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. The strength again today, just the overwhelming size inside on the glass.
And the floater goes down for B.J. Anthony. One of the few holdovers from the New Zealand team that played 4 years ago in FIBA. And he's in double figures with 11 points. United States will get Dominican Republic tomorrow, 3:30 Eastern, as Kyrie Irving shoots and hits the 3 behind the screen. And then they'll wrap up the preliminary round against the Ukraine on Thursday. They'll have the middle game. That's 11:30 a.m. Eastern time.
Mike Fratello, the czar, will take his Ukraine team. He's done a really nice job. And again, I mentioned earlier, with all the turmoil going on in that part of the world, there's a lot on their players' minds right now.
And a banked-in shot.
That's his 3rd 3, right, Bartlett?
Yeah, he had back-to-back earlier in the game. So that's going to do it for Team USA. 6 players in double figures. Coach K's team now 3-0 in the preliminaries. Anthony Davis, 21 points, 9 rebounds. Kenneth Faried with 15 points and 11 boards. And New Zealand falls to 0-3 in the preliminary rounds as the United States gets set for the Dominican Republic coming up tomorrow afternoon. Fred Frischel and I will be back. Recap this win for the United States coming up next, 98-71.